And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 89. Well, we have the Ford hat back. It's been found, so all is well in the world. We're in our studio. We have our painting. So let's have a solid episode, shall we? Now, I was recently watching an RCR stories on Preston Tucker and the Tucker Motor Car Company. Big fan of regular car reviews here at Janky AF. And it's a fascinating story, and if you don't know it, I would look into Preston Tucker and Tucker Cars, the Tucker 48. And the RCR stories would be an absolutely fantastic place to start. So shout out to them. Shout out to that story, excuse me. A very important city in that story is Ypsilanti, or Ypsilanti. We'll call it Ypsilanti, Michigan. Michigan, obviously a big state for automobile production generally. And if you dig into that story, you'll see why Ypsilanti is important. And that gives away a little bit about this video, as does my green shirt. But let's introduce the vehicle, and then we'll complete the circle. So, here we have a 1997 Ford Aerostar minivan, listed for just $2,500 in Ypsilanti, Michigan. So, as we can see, it's a beautiful, stunning green. This is one of the most iconic Aerostar colors. And I like to do these little tie-ins. So, if you don't know, the Tucker automobile was, according to most, by all accounts actually, years and years ahead of its time. Had many, many advancements over cars of that era. This would be the late 40s. And it was a really fascinating story. I can't go into all the detail. You'll just have to watch it. But he was this very charismatic figure. And there was, government lawsuits and investments and all sorts of, buildings, warehouses rented from the government, and just an incredible story of persistence, but also tragedy, of failure, and yet of genius, and all these things. And the bottom line is that the Tucker car, and I think 50-some survived today, they only made 50-some cars actually, was extremely ahead of its time, and yet sort of unrecognized, and ultimately never achieved sort of the status that the extremely aspirational creators of that vehicle had envisioned for it. And I think you could say some similar things about the Ford Aerostar. Now, as opposed to the Tucker, which only had about 50 produced, the Aerostar had over 2 million produced. So by that account, it was much more of a success. However, the Aerostar is still to this day, in my opinion, criminally underrated, under-recognized. When people see them, they often call them Astrovans or Astrostars. Even people who know me well, they say, "Oh, how's your Astro?" So the Aerostar, and of course, the Iacocca minivans, the Chrysler Voyager and Town and Country and Dodge Caravan, Grand Caravan. The Aerostar has always sort of lived in the shadow of these other vehicles, and yet if you watch this program, or perhaps if you own a Ford Aerostar yourself, you may see that as something of a sad narrative, because the Aerostar in so many ways was very ahead of its time and continues to kind of be ahead of its time insofar as its versatility as a vehicle, sort of being, it's even been written, I think Haggerty did this article that I reference all the time, where it was sort of like the precursor to the modern crossover in a lot of ways. It was a minivan, but also a cargo van. It was small and easy to drive, and was, had a lot of car parts on it as opposed to truck parts. However, it could be gotten in a four-wheel drive. It could be had with a manual transmission. It had a really good payload capacity, excellent towing capacity, and I think that a lot of the little details inside were very, I don't know if the right word is ahead of their time, but certainly very upscale, beyond its class in terms of a vehicle. And for me, also, the styling was just extremely underrated. It had an excellent drag coefficient. All these things that if you watch this program, you already probably know. So I just thought that this was curious that this one was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I had just watched that Tucker program, so I wanted to sort of merge those all together. I highly recommend watching anything on the Tucker Motor Car Company, Preston Tucker, and of course that RCR Stories. So, all that being said, let's celebrate this 1997 Ford Aerostar in Ypsilanti, Michigan. 97, of course, the last year of the Aerostar, the sort of final swan song of the Aerostar as we know it. This particular about this vehicle has 170,000 miles on it, 170,263 to be exact. Automatic transmission, exterior color green, interior color again blank. Second one in a row I think we've seen this blank. Fuel type is gasoline. 15 city, 22 highway for a combined 18 miles per gallon. The vehicle is paid off and it has a clean title. Seller's description, a wonderful description by the way. $2,500 or best offer. Located Ypsilanti. New tires. Runs good. Mechanic checkup, said good shape for the year of it. So here on Year of the Aerostar, we have an Aerostar wherein the mechanic checkup said good shape for the year of it, which is hilarious because a lot of times you'll say it's good shape for the year or low miles for the year, low miles for the year, low mileage for the year. This one said good shape for the year of it. For the year of it. It just sort of rolls off the tongue strangely, but I like it. I like how there's no punctuation whatsoever in the description. You know, 2,500 OBO, no periods, anything. Located, no colon there, just located Ypsilanti. New tires, runs good. But then mechanic checkup, we get a colon, not just like grammar, but you know, kind of advanced grammar, like a colon and a semicolon. Usually you're just dealing with periods and commas, but here we have a colon. And it follows the words mechanic checkup. It's almost like a segment on a program. Mechanic checkup, mechanic checkup. And what came over the wire, you may ask? Said good shape for the year of it. So just a wonderful description. As I always say, the only thing that is important in communication is whether or not the communication is understood by the person it's attempting to be communicated to. So in that case, flying colors, passing with flying colors. Let's look at some pictures. Okay, here's very interesting. A couple things to note. Beautiful alloy, factory alloy wheels. Looks fantastic on a standard length Aerostar. White wall tires, ding, ding, ding. I mean, that's fantastic. I love the white wall tires especially. And it looks like we have matching tires. It said they got new tires, so I don't know if they chose to, but usually when you buy white walls nowadays, that's like a choice. It's not just like whatever they had on the shelf. Although 14-inch tires, which is a 14-inch wheel, you know, not that common nowadays. So maybe they just had some 14-inch white wall tires lying around the tire shop and they decided to go with those. But I think they look fantastic, especially with these alloy wheels. Now, this appears to be a two-tone Aerostar. I don't think green over black was ever offered as a two-tone choice, although it looks quite nice, especially with this sort of three-dimensional pinstripe molding here. However, very quickly we can clearly see that this is something that you see on a lot of pickup trucks, especially in the Northeast, especially in upstate New York. And it's a very funny sort of way of dealing with something. Now, clearly what's going on here is there'll be a lot of rust on the underside of the vehicle or on the rockers of the vehicle. You presumably sand and prime the rust, hopefully. If not, you just get your rattle can out and go at it with a can of black spray paint. But then a lot of times, you know, that paint or that rust that you're trying to cover up will go high enough onto the body that instead of just, you know, going wild with a spray can, what you do is you tape off a line and then you spray that entire segment. Well, you know, you see it a lot on like a white cargo van. If you see a little black strip coming up, you know, 8-10 inches, it's like, it kind of makes sense. It kind of looks right. You know, it kind of just looks like it's a continuation of the bumpers or whatever, a little two-tone job. It's very obvious what it's doing. And I don't know if it's meant to sort of fool people per se, but it's sort of a good way of, at a distance, making a car look like it has not as much rust as it actually has on it. In this case, you think they could have stopped, right at this line that runs parallel with your bumper. But actually, they went all the way up further, all the way to sort of like your midline, which I get it, maybe because they had this, body molding, this little, what I call three-dimensional pinstripe, just like a piece of a molding that goes on there. They figured, let's take it all the way up there. And if you look close, you can quite easily see, remnants of rust. It may even still be rusty. It looks like it runs all along your entire rocker panel. And again, it's not meant to be deceptive, but the way that it's done, it almost looks like they're trying to cover it up, like otherwise. And what I never understand is if you're going to go through all the trouble of taping off the car, painting not just the little section but this whole panel, why not paint it the body color? Why not go get, at least, even if it's not the right green, go get a green and paint it green, because going this high up on this two-tone, it's not what the Aerostar two-tones only, again, would have been this little section here, or sometimes would have been this section to like just above your door handle and below your windows, and then a middle bar that would run all the way to the line that runs parallel with your bumper back here. So this is, now again, I'm like this, Aerostar enthusiast, so to me it looks like really off. Maybe to an average person it doesn't look that off, but this is like sort of right in the midpoint of the vehicle, basically. And I just thought that was very, very funny. And what's funny is, I believe on the other side, now we can't see the other side, we only get one side, so it looks like they went through all the trouble of then, because I don't think these bumpers came in black, of painting the bumper itself black on both sides. Now they are both intact. I guess it is the same on both sides, because this is your opposite. This is your passenger side, this is your driver's side, so it does go all the way around the vehicle. It kind of looks cool. I don't mind it. I wish they had gone with like a gloss black instead of like a satin black. The other funny thing is it looks like they wiped off, when you buy white wall tires, they come with a blue coating on them. And it looks as if on this picture, they wiped it off of the white walls to make them appear white. However, on the other side, it looks like we still have the blue on. Now, maybe these pictures were taken later, before they had, it looks like this one almost might be white too. But it's almost as if, they didn't think maybe someone would notice, or they were trying to take pictures real quick, so they just washed two of them. I'm being a little suspicious here, and I don't mean to be. It's just I'm trying to think in my own mind, if I was like really trying to get something up online quickly, what I might do. I just need to wash two of the tires. So it's funny that it appears that only one of these they didn't wash off the blue, which is strange to me. But just a little bit of Aerostar sleuthing. We also have a little crack in the. This is quite sad. My '93 Sport actually has a little tiny crack. It's not as big as this, but it's sad because it's very difficult. On like a bumper or flat surface, you can kind of get a little Bondo in there and kind of sand it down and make it look pretty nice. This, because of all these ridges and also because it's hollow back there, it seems like it'd be quite difficult to actually like patch this and make it look good. Now, you could just buy another grill. However, on my Sport, it's body color painted, and trying to find that exact color would be very difficult. Now, of course, I could get just a standard grill and paint it myself, or have a body shop or something like that painted, but then it's kind of not the original one. And also, if the bezels are painted too, if you're going to hire it out, it probably actually costs you a pretty penny to get that painted, and hopefully, it matches all right, because if it doesn't match perfectly, it's going to look a little weird. So that's just like kind of a shame. I don't know if a stone chip hit it or something like that, but always a bummer to see that when the grill has like a little hole punctured in it, because again, to actually repair that is quite a bit of work. Now these grills actually are fairly cheap. So on one like this, where it was just a sort of factory standard gray anyways, I would probably just get a whole new grill. Or maybe if I wanted to spiff it up and confuse people, it'd be kind of funny on a 97 to get like, a grill from either 86 to 88 or 89 to 91. and just like sort of have a little insider joke, you know, like, oh, this is a non-original grill. And if you know, you know, and you see it and you say, oh, that's funny, you put the, you know, older style grill on it. Then when you see the tail lights in the rear, because it's a 97, and of course 97, they did away with the amber, and you only have the red and white tail lights. That'd be like sort of a nice little anachronistic inside joke, or inside little Easter egg to present to your fellow Aerostar enthusiasts. The interior on this vehicle, I have to say, looks very, very clean, especially for, you know, how not clean the exterior is. The seats look to be in excellent shape. Really nice shape, actually. A little tiny bit of staining, but, you know, you see some of these things and they're all, you know, beat to hell. Even the carpets, you know, for 170,000 miles, really pretty nice interior. And you do have your power windows, which is something I've always wanted on an Aerostar. I love these switches, just a little splash of color in there. I like the sort of the heather pattern on this little panel within your door card too. It kind of matches your inner seat material. Just really nice touches, little things like that where I feel like, you know, you can make a cloth interior actually quite classy. And I feel like modern cars have all these like microfibers and stuff on them, and supposedly they hold up better, or they resist stains better. But honestly, they're probably just cheaper to make. And I really like a sort of old school cloth interior. I think they're actually quite classy and even, you know, luxurious in some regards. Obligatory odometer shot, very nice to see, 170,263. Looks like we have some gas in the vehicle, so that's nice. No, looks like we do. I'm guessing it's just an accessory mode. That's why your check engine light and your amp sign are on. They haven't actually cranked it over. Let's assume that. So not a ton of pictures, and not the greatest pictures in the world, but just enough to get a clear idea of what's going on. Now, you do have both bumpers intact. That's very nice. What I would do is, if you just wanted to sort of get this looking a little nicer, you know, not cut out sheet metal and have it welded in and make it all perfect, but I would just go find the factory shade of green and get it in a gloss, tape it off again, and just paint it all green. Or if you wanted to do like sort of a two-tone, that would be a good opportunity. Even really just this strip to make it look like a green over black, or whatever, green over gold. You know, take your bumpers off and paint those. And you'd have quite a nice looking Aerostar with 170,000 miles on it. And the mechanic checkup said good shape for the year of it. So there's that. So a nice little Aerostar in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Again, the Aerostar, quite ahead of its time. And, you know, just the other day, I yanked one of my Fiats out because I had to get it out of space, get it moved. I hooked it up just with a, you know, recovery strap to the 93 Aerostar and pulled it right out. So in the year of our Lord 2023, they're still doing work, you know, serving a purpose and getting things done. And that's always been the Aerostar's MO. It is truly a workhorse, but it can be a pleasure vehicle too. It can be really whatever you want it to be, and you can't say that about many cars. So that's why we love the Aerostar here on Janky AF. Really nice white wall tires and really nice rims. You know, if you had like another Aerostar you wanted to just take these tires and wheels off of and then use this as like your beater Aerostar, that would be a good little swap. You could have this as your little beater van, run around town, and then if you had like a really nice Aerostar that you want to sort of dress up, you put this tire and wheel package on, and boom, there you go. So there you have it. All right. Back in action here on Janky AF with the Year of the Aerostar, episode number 89, closing in on 100 episodes. Very, very, very excited for our 100th episode. I have no idea what we're going to do yet. I was very flying by the seat of my pants. But I have some ideas on how we can celebrate 100 episodes, and I hope you all tune in. Thank you so much, as always, for subscribing and commenting. We just responded to a bunch of comments. And you know, it just warms my heart knowing that there's other Aerostar enthusiasts and connoisseurs. One person called me a connoisseur of the Aerostar. What a lovely compliment to get. So I really, really appreciate that. And thank all of you for you know, your enthusiasm in the Aerostar as well, and for tuning into this here program. So there you have it. We'll have another one for you very soon. And until then, Janky do thank you.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.